believe we're streaming live. We're streaming live.
That's
I've
right.
got my buddy HellaBass here. Rich. Say hello, Rich.
What's up, everybody?
So
How's it going
Rich
tonight?
is from the great state of Minnesota, correct?
That's right.
An up north guy is streaming with the down south guy. We're not going to talk about college football. Don't worry, Rich.
Well, if we do, we want to talk about that Gopher Auburn game. If we do,
Yeah, so Minnesota, great team. I believe they row the boat there, correct?
they do. Sky Yuma, row the boat, all that good stuff.
But we're going to talk about some baits tonight, and I just kind of reached out to him and said, hey, man, why don't you join my stream? I think he brings some stuff to the table. I can't even see my stream on here. I don't know what's going on. I hope I didn't set it on private. I've done that before. Oh, here we go. I'm live. So we got some viewers on here. I have to double check myself all the time.
Bunkers and Lures is on.
Oh, two
Some jazz
subs.
for this.
Yeah, so we got, we'll let people get in here for just a second, as I do every night. Brooks, I gotta let Baitman Jr. know this is not his show. He's really wanting to show off his baits for like the fourth time in a row. He's been in the bait room all day.
This is always Baitman Jr. show. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah. My internet's being slow. So if the stream lags, guys, it's on me. Because I guess somebody is using up all the internet here. And make sure you smash the like button for me. Alright. Let's get this chat popped out.
My TV's not.
I gotta let Baitman Jr. know this is not his show. He's really wanting to show off his baits for like echo. Alright. What's up, Simon? What's up, Ryan? What's up, Fat Guy Bassin? I may be a little behind. My internet's lagging just a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll probably turn the TV.
Alright, so first thing is first, Rich. I heard a pretty nasty rumor today. Could be good,
Let's hear about
could
it.
be bad, but I have heard that Triton boats, Dunzo, like no more fiberglass boats at Triton. So I'm very
That'd be a crazy shakeup for sure. That's huge. Like that's mega news, right? Like
yeah. So I want to say I can't reveal my source, but it is pretty solid, and they haven't been wrong about much. You know, I hate it for the guys that are with Triton, and some of those guys have been there for a long time, but kind of maybe could see the writing on the wall. I mean, you had Swindle switch from Triton to Phoenix this year.
Yep, that's right.
That was kind of out of the blue, and I feel like somebody else did.
And he was the big one. I mean, like for sure. I mean, a lot of people switched though, right? There's been a lot of shakeup this year. Like, I forget all of them, but there's a lot of guys that moved around this year.
Yeah,
So,
you saw a lot of those Skeeter guys go to Bass Cat or even Ranger. You know, Kelly Jordan and Mark Davis have been with Skeeter for a long, long time. And they're in Bass Cats, which are good boats. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of weird seeing them. Now, Mark had been with Bass Cat when he won 2 Anglers of the Year, so obviously that boat fish is pretty good for Mark.
yeah, he's kind of OG Bass Cat. That's where, I mean, he was Bass Cat before Bass Cat was cool.
Yeah. You know, David Mullins is in a Triton. Oh, David, good dude, East Tennessee. We'll see where he goes, but I think he went to Phoenix, though, correct? Or he's staying at Triton.
Randy Howell is one of the big names that's still with Triton as of now, right?
Yeah. I think Jacob Wheeler runs a Triton.
Yep.
So that's a big deal there. So if this is true, you think a lot of these pros that are Triton guys are going to go give Earl a call and be running Camus. But from what I've heard, Camus isn't really giving a lot of memo deals and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's not. I was gonna say, is there any tour person running a Camus? Is there one maybe? It's either like 1 or 0, I think. I don't.
Right. There may be
Yeah,
somebody on like the FLW tour that I don't know. I know there's
Pro
only.
circuit?
I know Vexus isn't doing memo deals or anything like that. But you got
Although
Brandon
Cards on a
Cards
Cards
running a
Vexus.
Vexus and Mike Huff maybe.
Yep, I think that's right.
And that's the only two. Dustin Connell, he's a Triton guy. Always been a Triton guy since I've known DC. So that's crazy if that news is true. We'll see. Again, I'm just reporting a rumor. I don't want to run with this as the gospel. So just let that guys know before they get and say that I started. It's what I heard today from somebody in the marine industry. And then I also heard that Ranger is for sale, and that they got a new marketing manager or new guy over there. And he's let a lot of guys know that are getting paid that they're not getting paid as much, and the memo deals are almost cut to nothing. And then a really big pro that's a huge YouTuber was told he's going to get a lot less money and got fired. They may be talking again now, but I won't mention his name out of respect for him. But that's a huge deal. So Rich, after the boat news, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, and tell us about some Minnesota fishing, man. You got those real northern largemouth there.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Rich Lindgren. I go by HellaBass on just about anywhere on the internet fishing related, whether it's the social, Instagram, YouTube, any of that stuff on message boards. If you see HellaBass, it's probably me. I've been tournament fishing probably since I started in a Bass Nation club with my dad when I was like 15, 16. So I've been fishing tournaments for 20 plus years. Traveled around a bit. I mean, I've fished tournaments in Texas, Alabama, Georgia, all around the Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Iowa. So do quite a bit of traveling. Pretty serious about this tournament thing. My kids are kind of at an age to keep me kind of busy, so I'm not like super mad at the fish right now. But in a few years, I'm gonna get pretty mad at them again and get pretty serious. But yeah, the fishing up in Minnesota is, for the 6 months, 8 months, it's fantastic. Some of the best fishing anywhere in the world, honestly. I mean, we don't have a lot of 7+ pounders, but 3 to 4, 5 pounders. I mean, we crush them all year long. It's amazing, and smallies and largemouth. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of it's the only thing we don't here is we have a season on most of our lakes in Minnesota, so we got to go to the river or Wisconsin or other places until about Mother's Day weekend, and then we can go pretty hard at them. So we're about 10 days out from our season being open, and then it should be. But the fishing's really good right now. I went out on the river, threw a 6 cents flat 75 for the first time ever, and caught quite a few smallies and walleyes and northern, and it was pretty good. It was legit.
It's a really good bait, man. I think out of all their crankbaits, that one's overlooked quite a bit. The guys that know, they know. And then, I was actually over at Pro Fisherman's house before I got on the stream, Brandon Hunter, and he's like, dude, the bait they make I love? And I said, what's that? He said, the flat 75.
Yeah, so she was one day out, and she's already got plenty of hook rash on her. Like, she's got a little tuned up.
Ooh.
So that's the one day, and probably the pike had a little bit to do with that. But I don't know. I don't know what they call it. It's kind of like I would call that a citrus shad. I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah, I think they call that one like candy citrus. I'm gonna go ahead and put you on the spot, man. In my streams, when guys are asking about rods, you're the Dobyns guy, man. You know all about those Dobyns rods, and I'm not sponsored by Dobyns, but if you ask me, gave me $200 and go pick out the best rod you can find, I'm probably going to lean over to Dobyns. It's just I think Gary makes a great rod. He does a lot of technique specific stuff, and he's listened to a lot of fishermen. Gary's a fisherman too, and I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I love them. I used to fish Shimano and Loomis exclusively back in the day, and had a little customer service disagreement with them, and I ended up getting rid of all my Loomises, and Clark Ream convinced me to give Dobyns a try back in the day.
Oh, Clark, and, he's a character. I love him.
Yeah, he was bugging me for a while, like sliding into my Facebook DMs back in the day, and it was like, you should really try it. You got a good following. I think you'll like them. And I ended up trying them and slowly phased them in, and now I got like 30 or 40 of the things. Jeez. So, and I got rods. If you really want to see, I did like a 4-part video series on my YouTube channel where I broke down every single rod that I own, and I've got stabbies and old style champions that I've had for probably 8 years that I'm still catching fish on. I mean, I could go get new ones, but they still work. I mean, they still catch fish. But as far as that crush, that Dobyns Champion 705 seems to be the perfect rod for throwing that crush, for sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you the rod I like the best is the 744 DX. For some reason, that 7.4, they're 4 power. I've thrown small swim baits like half ounce, on a head. I can throw a half ounce football jigs. It's an amazing big worm rod. It's really sensitive. Now, I don't throw, a lot of guys think because we offshore fish here that a 10-inch worm comes with a 3/4 ounce sinker. Very rarely do I throw anything over a 3/8 ounce, but it's very sensitive. But one thing Dobyns rods they're amazingly balanced.
100%. That's what I love about them. And I like that Gary personally has a hand in the design of every single rod. And so, like, if you like this action rod in a Fury, you're going to like it in a Sierra. You're going to like it in a Champion. Like, they carry through and they're consistent. So, I mean, not every rod is for every person, but if you like something, it's very consistent. And then, like, when they update the models, like when they went to from like the Champion HP to the XP and things like that, they still fish the same. They upgraded the guides, but like sometimes, like I always use an example. I used to have an old Kumara that I love from Shimano,
and they totally changed the whole rod.
And they totally changed everything, and it goes from like this amazing balanced rod the next year, then it's just like this tip heavy thing, and it's like they just, and it's kind of hit and miss when you have like a really amazing rod versus not. But those are some of the things that I like about Dobyns, and that's why I've stuck with them for so long. And their customer service has been fantastic for me and for my buddies that I've recommended. And I've never recommended a buddy to get a Dobyns and then have him come back and tell me he's pissed because they didn't take care of him. So
yeah, that's the thing. And where I come from in the retail world, customer service is a big deal. And I don't mean just the customer calling, but like when I worked with them when I was a dealer, I knew those ladies by first name. They knew when my number come up. It was, we had normal conversation before. I said, hey, I got this issue, or I need to order this. Great people. And a lot of people don't know it. If Gary's in the office and you've got questions over, well, which rod do I really need for throwing a Cinco, you can talk to Gary and he'll let you know why you need that certain rod. Got a great question here. Tom Mix says, what's a good affordable Dobyns for throwing in a Rashi glide bait? That's kind of a heavier glide.
Yeah, I'd say, the Fury, I've heard, I don't own the Fury 795, but I've heard great things about it. They also make the 8-footer, so I guess personal preference, the 805 or the 75 Fury. I know a lot of guys on the swim bait forums that say that's the best rod for the money if you're getting into swim baits.
Yes, and Mike Bucca with Bull Shad, he's a Dobyns guy. He told me the sweet spot on that 795, even though it might be rated for more, 6-7 ounces, he said the sweet spot's right at that 2.5 to 4 ounces. And I found that sometimes on rods, Dobyns is really good. If they say it's rated for this, it's usually legit. But I've seen some guys really overrate the rods. Like, say it's rated for 2 ounces, and I put, an 1.5 ounce swim bait on. I'm like, holy cow, this thing it can't handle it. But they're very true. But that 795 Fury, it's only $119. It's an amazing rod, man. So I see all these boxes behind you, Rich.
Yeah,
just be honest with us. You're a tackle nut.
Yeah, I like it. I'm probably not Epic Eric level, but I'll hold my own with most people. Like I probably got more stuff in my boat in my garage than most of your average tackle stores.
Do you have a problem buying tackle?
I think I've gotten better. Like there was a time where
too.
It was pretty bad. Like I've gotten better, and I'm more selective, and I try to purge things, get rid of things on eBay. I try to donate stuff to some of the local high school fishing clubs to try to get it down to a healthy balance. So I'm a little more selective than I used to be, but I used to be a total, excuse my language, tackle whore for a while.
Yeah, man. I think most of my viewers, we're all in the same boat. I'm in the boat as I got a lot of tackle. I don't catch a whole lot of fish. But what's some of your go-tos there in Minnesota? Are you a notorious swim jig fisherman?
I do. I like swim jigs, especially when I'm on the river, but I will fish them a little bit of all the time. I like up here, it's kind of like it depends on who you talk to. It's like arguably like the home of the swim jigs, right? Like the Upper Mississippi. Like there's at least a genre of swim jigs that definitely originated up here with Brovarni, right?
Yep.
And like so, I do like Brovarni swim jigs. Like there's some of the like I think Lethal Weapon might have been the Monsoor one, but these guys I think just a little bit behind. Let me pull out these ones are like that's not a that's a different one. I'll show that one in a minute. Like. My swim jig box is a mess, though. I mean, but I guess what's nice about oh my goodness, Brovarnis have a pretty light wire hook on them, right? Like they're fairly light hook. They one thing is that most of these Upper Mississippi River jigs they'll have zero underskirt, right? They only have the outer part of the skirt. They'll trim that.
Huh.
When they hand tie them, they almost have no underskirt.
Really? So I'm learning something.
Really
I'm learning something now, Rich.
Yeah.
So that make that thing really pulse.
Right. So it's really light. It pulses, and then most of the good ones will have a good little wire keeper, just that little barb. That's. I mean, I think some of the first jigs I ever saw with that wire barb were up here. This one's been chewed on quite a bit, but this is another one I like. It's called Super K jigs. They're basically similar design, but they put a much heavier jig hook in them, and a much meatier. So if you're more of a floral guy, light wire, Brovarni, like it's a really good swim jig. If you like braid and you like to reef on them a little bit, the Super K is a little bit. So those are my kind of two go-to. I mean, the Lethal Weapon is a slightly better. Like if you're looking for something a little more mass-produced, you can get these at Tag Warehouse. These are one of the OG. Kind of river swim jigs, but yeah, this is a mess. This really needs to be cleaned up. But yeah, most of these guys, the thing about Super K and Brovarni is they literally will tie you any jig you want.
Really?
You tell them they probably got 100 colors on their website, and then you could tell them anything you want, right? Like for a while, I used to have them tie all my jigs with red thread, so that when that skirt would pulse or like you get, it's kind of like the theory of putting that chartreuse chunk above your chunk, and so when the skirt would flare, you'd get a little color. Yeah. I just put that as kind of almost like a bleeding treble or something on my swim jigs, and then I always knew they were my swim jigs, and so I don't know.
Now I'm going to ask you this question, Rich. Are you a pumper? Are you pumping the swim jig, or are you a straight reeler and maybe stop?
Hey, with DIY Bassing.
Dude,
thanks for helping out.
Thanks, man, for the $10 make you holler. Someone wants to know where that come from. Long story. I'll go ahead and tell you. Back in my younger days, might have visited a gentleman's club, and one of my buddies, he was trying to make it rain, and he threw out a $10 bill, and the girl screamed. So he said, "Yeah, girl, that $10 make you holler." So that's where that comes from. But anyway, DIY Bass Fishing, I appreciate the donation. I hope you guys enjoy the stream tonight. I'm doing something different, man. We'll get back. I'll get back to Rich's question for me.
Yeah.
You a pumper or you a swim or are you a straight reel guy?
Up here, I think the conventional wisdom is steady reel, slow and steady, like the tortoise. Like, I mean, on the river, we'll definitely throw them over the pads, over the duckweed mats. But a lot of times I'm just over grass like a spinnerbait, just slow and steady. So up here, the Alabama shake isn't really a thing. And I've talked to guys like that from up here. It seems like regionally the fish up here prefer that steady retrieve, and when you go down south, that shake and pump is a thing more so, and I think it really has something to do with just, I don't know if it's the conditioning of the fish or the forage base, but up here that steady reel seems to be the ticket. And so, I think that goes from Minnesota all the way over to the Northeast, I think is pretty true, and then when you go south, that shake is a bigger deal.
Well, the problem is I live in Kentucky, so I'm in between. And I think the fish are in between, because one day I catch them pumping it, and then the next time it's just like slow rolling a swim bait almost. I like to keep my swim jig just a little bit higher off the bottom than I would just, if I was throwing like a bass tricks or something like that. And also I fish a lot shallower water.
Absolutely.
What on your rod, on your swim jig, you like a stiff rod with some tip? Or I know some guys, they're like, yeah, I throw a swim jig on this. I'm like, that's a freaking pull cue. I basically use what I would throw a spinnerbait on.
Yeah, similar. I'm kind of more where you are. I know, like, Paul Mueller loves a 746 for a swim jig, and I was like, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, But I'm more like 733, 734, and I think oftentimes I'll throw my 734 with fluoro, and then I'll go 733 with braid.
So trailers. Are you a swim bait guy, or are you throwing something like a Rage Bug, a Rage Menace, or a double tail? I used to throw a swim jig with a double tail on the back quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, like for years, like all I ever threw was a single tail grub. Like just that was like that's how I learned to swim jig. And I was telling, I was doing a kind of IG live session with my buddy Cade Laufenberg, who's a big lacrosse guy, and I was like, we might need to start throwing the single tail grub because I don't think anybody throws it anymore, and it might be new to the fish again.
Right.
But now I would say like this is probably my go-to is rigging this menace grub vertically, like that.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of giving that shad tail profile, especially on the river. I will turn it flat if I want to get higher in the water column, or if I want to bring it over more vegetation. Like if I don't have much water and I want it to ride higher, or I want it to get over slop, I'll turn it horizontal. So that's probably like day in and day out. I'm going to throw a lot of the menace grub. I have experimented with the spicy beaver. If I feel like I need to move more water, I want a little bigger profile.
It does have a little bit more flapping action than the menace. Right. I like it on a football jig when those fish are really aggressive. I'm a big believer in stuff like that when those fish, they want to eat, get the most aggressive thing in there, because a lot of times you'll get the bigger fish to bite it when they're out here offshore and they're least aggressive. That's when I go to something like the old Big Salty, or even just they don't say a pack a crawl hardly anymore. Everyone's got something crazy, but the pack a crawl or Big Salty, slow it down. But when, like here in two or 3 weeks when they first get out there, I want that thing just aggressive and stand out and get them to fire up.
A lot of times in the year, our shad don't get quite as big. So like a little dipper is a really good bait up on the Mississippi River. Otherwise, on lakes, I'll throw like a cane thumper or a regular size dipper or an easy swimmer or a big. So So I mean, there's a lot of good options. The Arsenal Tactical Minnow is a good one. So yeah, I mean, pretty much paddle tail, menace grub, and then like a spicy beaver or a rage craw, depending on what I want to do. The lakes, I'm going to use a little bit more, natural green pumpkins and watermelons and bluegill type stuff. On the river, I'm probably either going to throw black and blue or a shad profile most of the time. Or something crazy like this. Like when the water gets dark on the river, for some reason, this river blue is a really popular color for us.
That's nasty. I like that.
Throw that with like electric blue or a June bug grub on the back or something like that. That's a kind of a thing on the river. And then there's a lot of guys like black and purple on the river as well.
Yeah, it's so I've always been telling you, if you can only get 3 colors, get a black and blue, get a white, and get whatever bluegill color. Choose those 3. It doesn't matter what variation of those. If you want a white and purple, white and chartreuse, or you want an Alabama brim or a warmouth, but get something and then just get a black and blue or black, blue, and purple and just go from there.
I see Phil says stroker craw. I haven't fished a stroker craw, but I don't see why it wouldn't be great on a swim jig.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of I'll be honest, I started throwing that on my hybrid jig, and I really like it. And I was talking to Brandon Hunter. He's like, dude, that's a really legit bait. So,
so Kyle Mollett, he brings up Big Bite Baits, which is a regional Wisconsin company. They have a grub that has this. I don't have any with me, but they have a little tab on their tail. It just gives it a little different, a little more thump or a little action. That's kind of a popular secret up here, is that Big Bite grub.
Baitman Jr. bought him some of them Baitman grubs. It's the ugliest color I've ever seen.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different grub. Maybe it's not Big Bite. I was thinking Get Bit. Never mind. I was confusing things.
That's okay. Hey, I asked you all those questions because I'm trying to get better with my swim jig game. That helps me out. I've got a Bravarni in here. I found it in my box like a month ago, and it looks just like what you put up. Light wire, super sharp hook, got the yellow dot eyes on it, the whole 9 yards. I'm guessing that's what it is. I've never remember buying a lethal weapon, but a friend of mine from Indiana gave it to me about 3 years ago and said, try this. So I'm going to guess it probably is. What are some companies there in Minnesota? Because there's a lot of guys that pour tubes, pour gobies, a lot of good hand pour stuff up in your area. I see lots of companies like that. What are some off the wall manufacturers that that you throw a lot of the baits for, maybe the viewers don't know about?
Yeah, I can't say that I do a ton of that. I do know, I was going to say, Get Bit Baits in Wisconsin. They're very popular regionally with tubes and some of their stuff. So they do a lot of those like hand-powered or hand-poured tubes and the little tiny tubes they like use on Sturgeon Bay and some of those smallies and stuff like that. So if you're like into that tube game, check out Get Bit Baits. I'm trying to think hand pour stuff. There's some really small guys. Honestly, plastics to me, I like. I'm not gonna lie, I like Strike King. I like Zoom. I like stuff that I can get all the time.
Right.
As a tournament guy, I fell into that trap for a while where I wanted all this JDM stuff and I wanted all this custom stuff, and then it's like you catch them on them, and then you're like, I need more,
and then you can't get them.
I can't get them. They went out of business. They're like, it's just like, so that's, I don't know. So that's kind of why I kind of stick to the mainstay stuff with that stuff. I mean, hard baits and that stuff I'm a little more likely, because that stuff holds up. You can buy 3-4 of them, and then as long as you don't smash them off rocks or lose them to pike or something like that. But yeah, plastics I kind of stick to the mainstay stuff, honestly.
Gotta give a shout out to Neil Conrad, the 1999 Make You Holler. Appreciate it, Neil, for joining in tonight. Neil. So we have sponsored up. We're both. He's Diet Dew. I'm Team Dew tonight. Thinking Mountain Dew, beautiful aluminum cans, paint job. I like the Monster Bass hoodie, the old school Mountain Dew throwback there. I would like to see.
I don't know if you can see above me. I have a really old school.
I see Monster, it.
A Mountain Dew, like a Yahoo Mountain Dew hillbilly thing. Let me try to maybe like just.
Uh-oh. We are the Dew crew.
Look at this. Let's see if we get the camera up there. Can you see it? Kind of like.
Not really, but I see a big pack of Black Dog baits over there.
Yeah, so there's a punker hiding in there, I guess. I don't know if you can see.
So, Rich, I'm a Tennessee Vols fan. That's Mountain Dew country. Mountain Dew was invented in the hills of East Tennessee. Yeah,
there we go. So
that's awesome.
Hillbilly, Yahoo Mountain Dew, tickle your innards.
How big is that bait room there? Is that a boat room plus bait room?
This is the garage. We'll kind of do a slow. So this is the bow of the boat, and I kind of got the wall, and it goes back to my motor that needs to be fixed. And then I got a little bit of corner over there where I got a microwave where I do some like remelting and baits, and I got another little board and stuff. And there's some tackle and over there too. So it's basically a whole third stall of boat tackle.
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you anything new, but you got a problem.
And that's not my basement, which I need to clean out. There's tackle down there too.
So which punker do you got? You got the OG, the wood one?
Yeah, this is. I have had this so long. I don't even know what this. So it's a 6-inch trout, foil trout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a hard one to get, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, I don't know if I bought this or I won this. I've had it so long, I don't remember. But this thing is pretty sick looking. I've never thrown it, but
my gosh,
this thing is just legit. Like,
you come down my way in the fall, that's what you got to bring.
Yeah, like, makes me think of like when Brent Anderson used to smash him on Kentucky, or like how sick this thing would have been. Like, I mean, you can see it's bigger than. I mean, I'm a pretty tall guy, and this thing's bigger than my hand. This thing is massive. Like.
So here's the deal about Brent. He's told me, I asked him, why don't you ever throw a punker? And he said he has, but he can't work it fast enough because it's so heavy. He said, but when those fish really want a slow bait that he can sweep real wide, he said that thing's the deal. A lot of guys, they don't know, they make an injected punker too. It's not quite as heavy. It's loud. It's got a lot of rattles. Whereas the wooden one, it don't have no rattles, but it just moves so much water.
Just like a bait that I throw a ton, right? A vixen.
Oh yeah.
Just comparison for guys that like know a bait, right? This thing is OG vixen there.
I was fixed to say, you bring in a vixen, that's an OG color, bud.
That's an OG vixen in an OG color.
I see a red treble hook. Is that something you do on a lot of your top orders, or is it just like me, just have a random bait with a red treble on it?
No, I try to, like, in a tournament situation, if I'm throwing a top water, I'm throwing a red hook in the front. I really do think I've fished them enough, and I've seen enough fish commit to the front hook more consistently. I really do feel like it's not necessarily, going to get you a lot more bites, but I think it's going to get the fish that bite it to commit to the front of the bait, which is going to increase your hookups, in my opinion.
Well, I've done that in my theory too, and I agree, even though I don't do it on all of them, is if the fish is biting the front of the bait and you get him on that front hook, chances are while you're fighting him and he's doing his thing near the boat, he's going to get that second hook. Whereas if you get the back hook, the bait's already out of his mouth.
Yep. 100% for sure.
Good stuff. Are you round bend? Obviously, you look like a round bend guy.
This one's got a mix. I think I got a round bend on the back and 2 EWGs up front. I'm still finding my way on that. As long as it's sharp, I'm good.
Yeah, Epic Eric gets a little overboard on that. He's got flat sides with 1 EWG, 1 round bend now. It's interesting though. Mark Menendez. Gonna let you guys know we got a Baitman Raw coming tomorrow. Gonna actually put up in the morning, so you may, if you're coming back and watching the stream now, you're gonna have plenty of stuff. And I hate to tell you guys, I cannot stream tomorrow night. I'm going bow fishing. I'm going bow fishing tomorrow night. I've got to get rid of some invasive species, do my diligence. But Menendez is a huge round bend guy. He pretty much does not throw an EWG, he said, except on a Series 3. What's up, Fluke Master? What's up, Gene Jensen?
Uh-oh. All the big names tonight. Now we just need Epic in the chat.
I know. Fluke Master's in here. Boys, I better get out of the way. I haven't seen Gene in a while. I hope you're doing good, Gene, man. Been watching your stuff.
So I got a couple of top waters caught my eye. So I think somebody was talking about this. I think it might even been, I don't know if it was one of Smallmouth Crusher streams, and it was either Brent talking about this or it was Alabama guy. It's called a Triaro?
Yeah, I'm not even going to try. I got too much Kentucky in me. It just starts with a T.
Triaro, and this thing is just like...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this thing, I've got another one that's got hooks on it, and this one doesn't, but like this thing, I don't throw it much, but this thing is like nasty. And then here's another one. This one is called the U.S. Irony. And it's got more of a one knock, like dead sounding, not nearly as tinny as like this one sounds like a can of Krylon. This one's more thud, like a soft knock.
Mm-hmm.
So I do got some crazy baits that I've tried over the years but I honestly I keep going back to the Vixen. That's my go-to walking bait. And that and a shower blow. Like if I'm fishing smallies, I tend to go.
Now you're talking.
If I'm fishing smallies, I like to go shower blow a little more. But I do like the Vixen too. So
you can't go wrong with either one of those.
No, and then like depending on the size of the bait and the time of the year, whether I go like a regular size or a baby one for those two. But
well, here's the deal on the shower blow. I have some buddies in East Tennessee. And they kayak and they fish a lot of the rivers around Pigeon Forge and Knoxville and stuff. And they always were like, "Man, can you get shower blows?" The bait Rich is holding right there. And like, "Can you get these?" And they're showing me JDM packages, and I'm like, "Man, guys, I can't." Well, then next thing I know, my Dabble rep, because Dabble distributes Evergreen, is like, "Hey, we got this bait coming out called a shower blow," and I said, "I'll take like 200 of them." And they're like, "What colors?" I said, "Just give me 2 dozen to every color." And I'm like, "Really? Wow." And so we got them in. I bought a 105, which is the smallest one. Went to Barkley Lake, and about the 4th cast, I caught a 3-pound smallmouth, and then the next cast, I caught like a 4-pounder. I'm like, "Oh, this is the deal, man." And those hooks, the stock hooks, are good.
Yep. This is really, I'm a big bone guy. I love bone.
Oh, yeah.
I like their bone. I don't know if you can see that. Like, has this like pixie dust glitter on the bottom of there. It's kind of sexy.
Yeah. I guess it was about a year ago, 2 years ago. A bone shower blow 135, which is the mid model. It was worth its weight in gold. I mean, Tackle Warehouse was out. Couldn't find one here in Western Kentucky. It didn't matter. But if you could get one, you could get a pretty penny for it. James Barron, have you tried the new Berkeley, the Cane Walker? Have you tried it compared to shower blow?
I haven't.
I've got one. If I can find that topwater box I made up the other night.
I've got so many good topwaters. I don't find myself investing in new topwaters very often. Like,
Do you feel like I'm kind of like that too? You know, I'm a spook guy. I like the vixen. I like the shower ball. Dude, I'm a huge Sammy gunfish guy. Somebody want to know about the shower blow and the cane walker, so I'll show it to you.
I would say Dan the Man shower blows are not overrated.
No, I think it's kind of underrated. It's kind of one of those deals. The people that know, they know. You know, Jacob Wheeler won at Champlain on a shower blow, and everyone was trying to figure out what it was, and he said super spook, and I'm like, Jacob, I saw the video and I heard that bait in the water. It was not a super spook. But for those who want to know, here's a shower blow. This is the 135. This is blueback herring.
Back it up a little bit.
Oop.
There you go. You were a little high on that. There you go.
Thanks, man. Thanks for producing. I appreciate it. Anyway,
I'm not like Travis. I pay attention. So.
Oh man, shot over the bow. But so you see the big difference in these two baits. The 135 and the cane walker. The cane walker's got more of a flat front end, almost like a gunfish. The shower blow's got these two lips, and that helps make this bait spit a lot more. When it's turning, it's spitting a whole lot more. I know some guys who really like the cane walker. Let's see how they sound. A lot of knocking in that shower blow. God, them hooks are sharp. I can't do that a whole lot. Whereas the cane walker, it's more of a rattle. And then of course, here's the bait that won the Forest Wood Cup. That's the I'm a Little Stick. This one's super loud. Well, it's not as loud. It's more booty.
Actually, no, I got the. Here's another one that's. I don't know if they make this one.
Yes, show me the stuff they don't make no more.
Paycheck, the one.
That's $100 bill right there you're holding. Just
really?
to let you know. Yeah.
Because it's got these. One of them fell off, but it has these little like feathered whiskers glued to the gills.
Yeah, that's $100 bill you're holding.
Yeah, wouldn't be my only one probably. I got a lot of cool stuff.
I know some guys that would probably give you more for that bait right there. That is Lake Pickwick guys. They love the one.
Considering that I need to either repower or rebuild my Merc, I might consider letting this go for $100, to be honest.
Maybe we should have our own tackle auction on here. I know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad I'm going bow fishing tomorrow night. My wife says she thinks we're getting stimulated tomorrow by getting some of them trump bucks, and it's probably a really good idea that I'm going bow fishing and not get on Eric and Travis's tackle auction. It could get nasty.
So the other night I was watching, you guys were talking poppers.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about, you guys, I think you like the Yellow Magic, right?
Yeah, I like a Rico, Yellow Magic, great bait.
So somebody mentioned the LFT popper, which is the Lake Fork popper. And it's like almost, at least on the surface, a dead ringer, like size and shape to the Yellow Magic.
It is.
But I don't, slightly different sound. I mean, I've thrown it a little bit. I haven't tested enough to really say whether it's. I don't even know if they make the LFT one, bro. But I bought a couple. But to me, like, gosh, I don't know how many. I mean, fishing BFLs and stuff on the river and draw tournaments and Bassmaster Weekend Series. I don't know how many times I've had people tell me that they have the baddest buzzer, popper, walker, topwater, and this thing has put them up and put them down so many times. So that at the end of it, what was that again? Where do you get those? Like,
yeah.
This thing's made me a lot of money. I'm a big believer in this, and I don't know what it is, but this thing kills.
And again, you're a bone guy. You got to have it at bone. I almost bought another Rico today, and then I got to look. I was on the hookup tackle. They got a pretty good selection, and I look at all these colors and go, "Ooh, that's nice." And then I go, "Well, what's bone? Oh, it's out of stock. I'll just hold off."
I bought a bunch of Ricos and stuff on eBay back in the day, but I never bought a bone one. That's probably why I never really throw them.
You know, when I was growing up, I loved a chug bug. Ooh.
I had people tell me the chug bug was the deal, and then my dad actually, he was fishing as a co, because a lot of times we'd enter the weekend series tournaments together, and he'd fish as a co and be my link. And he drew a guy that worked for Rapla that was like, "Nope, I'm throwing the chug bug. I'm throwing the chug bug." By the end of the day, he was buying Yellow Magics.
Yeah. Go ahead, show that. Is that Brian's B?
Yeah. Doesn't get a lot of love, but I do like to bring it out every once in a while in those fry garters and brim chasers.
I
It happens pretty quick in Minnesota. It doesn't like prolong like it does in other parts of the country, but
Fluke Master said he found a TD, which is Team Dabble, dead or alive in one of his old tackle boxes. That's an old school kind of jointed swim bait deal. What's it worth? Man, I haven't seen one in quite a while, Fluke, but I'm going to say you can probably get about $25 to $30 out of it. I don't know if it's a real rare, desirable one, but I know a lot of guys like that bait. Talking about Brian's B. I remember when that deal really took off, and then you couldn't find a Brian's B crankbait or anything anywhere.
Yeah.
They were going for stupid prices.
For a while. Yeah.
And then now it just really died off.
I was actually going through some baits today. Maybe you know something about this. I think these were called like Tennessee Killers or something.
Yeah.
Like they were cedar flat sides.
Yes.
I don't know if they still make these or what their value is, but I came through these on my box today. They're kind of beat up, but
yeah, I won't say they're rare, but they're one you might want to keep around for a while.
I mean, I don't think anybody's killing them on them.
No, it makes a good display piece and story piece anyway. That's the thing about those balsa and cedarwood baits. Some of them, they have just a small following. Some of them have huge cult followings, like Catching Concepts. I don't know if you've ever seen those. They have a huge cult following. I can't catch jack on them. They look amazing, though.
I forget what this was. This one is the original Nipoditter.
Yeah, so that's a basic prop bait there. That's actually a bait that a lot of guys used to throw here on Kentucky Lake.
Yeah, it's got that old school like metal hook hangers with the screws in them, and like I don't know. Boxes trying to figure out. I got a bunch of old Poes. I don't think the Poes are really worth much.
No, they were so mass produced.
Yeah. I'm
going to have to take a Call of Nature break, Rich. You're going to have to carry the stream for just like 5 minutes, bud.
What do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do. What do you guys want to talk about? How does the Cordell pencil popper compare to the shower blow? I think the shower blow is made in more sizes, smaller sizes. I think it's. I think the pencil popper is a really good deal if you're on a herring lake. But I think the shower blow is more universal, especially in the smaller sizes, to catch fish all over the place. I don't think those big pencil poppers have the draw in other parts of the country that the shower blow does. I do fish Mille Lacs a little bit, not as much as I do. It's probably like a 2.5 hour drive from the house. So I get up there a couple times a year. I love it. I wish I got up there more, Michael. Those Mormons, got those killers, Texas red color. What's up, Victor? Yeah. I think the one thing that's unique about up here in Minnesota, which I've noticed, is our season is so short. And when we come out of winter, it ramps up to like, pre-spawn is like a month. And then we have like probably 2 or 3 weeks of spawn, and then we're post-spawn summer. Like, it happens. There's like you usually get like a major wave and a minor wave, and that's it here. It happens that fast.
All
like
right.
if you fish and like you get like a graduation party and Mother's Day and whatever, got a yard project, you might miss the spawn here.
So if someone wants to know what's your go-to spinnerbait?
My go-to spinnerbait is a swim jig.
That's a good answer. Good answer.
Or a bladed jig. I honestly don't throw spinnerbaits a ton up here. I used to like the old Hildebrandt tin spinnerbaits. They used to do really the blade, the Hildebrandt, the blade. I used to really like that one. For a while, I used to carry the Secret Weapon Lure spinnerbaits, and I could just kind of flip out the blade. You know what I'm talking about? Those ones that have the interchangeable blades. I think they're out of Tennessee.
Yeah.
I used those for a while, but honestly, 95% of the time up here, I'm throwing a swim jig if it's calm and like good clean water, and then if it's like windy and got a little turbulence or dirty water, I'm throwing a bladed jig most of the time. If I travel down south, I will pick up the spinnerbait a little more, but we don't have a lot of shad.
Mm-hmm.
So it just feel like the spinnerbait and the swim jig and the bladed jig just perform better out here for me.
A lot of good questions here. Stoney wants to know a 1/4 ounce or 1/2 ounce yellow magic. I know the one you held up was a 1/2 ounce.
The big one, almost all the time the big one. Unless I am just sometimes on a lake that maybe has like smelt or some really size specific bait, or sometimes on the river if they're really keen on small bait, I'll throw that 1/4 ounce. But 95% of the time I'm throwing that big one.
It's kind of like me.
Tournament fishing, I mean, you catch 8, 10, 12 inches all the time on that big one. So unless it's a really specific bait deal where you can't get a bite on it, or on the mayfly hatch. The mayfly hatch will throw smaller baits. Kyle, be a little more specific on my immediate post-spawn bait, like what depth, be a little more specific. I'm from Minnesota, Dan the Man.
Ooh, there's a good one. Break down your hollow belly frog setup.
I've got 2. Neither one of them are at my reach, but so I got 2. On the Mississippi River, there's a lot of times we're casting huge duckweed flats where you're like bombing casts about as far as, I mean, you can literally catch fish on the end of like a 40, 50 yard. I mean, it's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like there, I used to throw the 805 punch champion, and I've dropped back to the 795 flip punch.
Right.
I like that almost 8-foot rod to be able to just send it.
Yeah. Isn't the send it guy from Minnesota?
Yeah, maybe full send. Like I remember fishing wasn't a Costa Stren or whatever it was at the time, several years back as a co on the cross, and I had a guy. I was just like catching fish he could not reach, and he was getting pissed. And I was like casting 15 yards farther than him and getting bit, and then just yanking him, and he was just like, so down there. I like that long rod. I'll FS62 65-pound sunline braid is what I like to throw. A 7 degree, 7-to-1 reel, whatever you like. I like Shimano and Daiwa reels, whatever you like. Something you can just whiz out there. For my everyday frogging, when I'm like throwing at banks, skipping them under docks, skipping them around trees, covering clumps of grass and stuff, like more target fishing, I like the Dobyns 735. And you can get that in the Fury, you can get it in the Sierra, you can get it in the used to get the one I use the most is the old Savvy, but yeah, Sierra, Fury. I mean, you can get a champion if you want, but I'd say if you're just throwing frog braid, save the money, get a Fury.
Yeah, man.
Like you're gonna see the strike. You don't need to feel nothing. Like it's still pretty light. The thing they're all balanced. It's not like it's gonna fish heavy.
Also, Doubles is a great football jig rod if you want to drag a big football jig.
That's the thing about that 735. It's great. It's got the tip you want for skipping a frog. It's got the backbone to get them out. It's also a good jig and beaver rod. So if you're a guy that doesn't have 40 rods like some of us,
mm-hmm.
you can get a lot done with that rod.
Yeah, I really, I got a lot of baits. I actually don't have that many reels. I've only got like 6 reels right now. I'm going to give me some more, but I've got a lot of rods, but I always find myself going to something like a 734, 735, that model style. I like a 7.2 medium heavy for like, my 1/2 ounce spinner baits and stuff like that. And that 736 Dobyns glass rod's an amazing bladed jig rod too.
Yeah, I just got my neighbor to get one of those. He either got a 7.5. I'm anxious to try it when it's socially acceptable to jump in his boat and try that new rod. I've definitely been eyeing up getting that rod, but I told myself I need to sell something if I'm going to buy that rod. I was going to say the other thing if you like a really heavy rod though, like if you don't want as much tip, that 736 a lot of guys like for frog rods, and I've had it. It's also a nice rod. I just don't think I have as much accuracy when I'm skipping with that 736. But like, if you just want a stick to lay the wood to them, that 736 is pretty sweet.
What you got in that box?
This is my frog box, so I just figured we were talking frog.
Let's see your favorite frogs.
Favorite frogs.
Or your go-tos, whatever. Some of the stuff that's my favorite isn't my go-to. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of depends. Like, here's just one fun one, right? Oh, the skirt's melted on this one. So I do have an old school swamp donkey.
Yep, that is an old one.
I mean, if it had a good skirt on it, that'd probably draw $20 for
Oh,
a frog
you
or
might get
more.
more than that.
Yeah, probably. Probably my all-time favorite frog, which they don't make anymore, was the Evolved Nervous Walker.
I remember them. I never had one, but I remember.
And they just they're soft. They got big old gaff hooks in them.
Mm-hmm.
They're heavy enough and big enough to throw, especially on the river where I want. This isn't probably my favorite skipping frog, but this is one of my favorite mat frogs.
Right. And there is a difference. A lot of guys, when they buy frogs, they don't realize they just want to buy a frog.
I've kind of been experimenting with the Boom Boom Stanford frog. Jury's still out whether how much I like this one. I don't know if I'm not sure I love the hookups or not on this one, but it's showing some promise. It's a little stiffer than I like. I don't really care about the Velcro on the top. I think that's a gimmick, but I do like the color. They're black and blue. They're officer.
That is a good looking frog. So I agree with you on the Velcro. Evidently, the old frogs back in the day. I think my dad has one. I found it, and it's got that Velcro patch. And the deal was those fish, when they come up and eat the frog, they get their teeth, which people don't realize bass actually have teeth. Their lips really rough, and they get snagged in the Velcro. They can't throw it as hard. I don't know. I've hooked way too many on a Spro frog or a Jackal that have it choked where the Velcro doesn't matter at all.
Let's not lose track. But do you remember the culprits that had that little pad in them?
Yeah.
The culprit worms had a little Velcro pad for a while. But a frog I used to throw a lot was the True Tungsten.
Yes, I need to find some. I found some on eBay the other day, and they were ridiculous.
Be careful, because I was kind of on, along with everybody else and their mother, was kind of on that Strike King or that the pro staff that probably sent them under. But they had some versions of that. I don't know. Maybe I got rid of most of those. Actually, I have another box that's my practice box.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go down in the Mississippi River, you need a practice box, because them northern will destroy your frogs and steal them. So when their first gen frogs were so rock hard, you couldn't almost hook a fish.
Right.
So you got to be careful if you're going to buy them on eBay, because you could be getting the really old ones, and then they would be junk. But then they fixed them, and then they were pretty sweet frogs.
Yeah, a lot of guys forget True Tungsten, not just the pro stuff, but they went from tungsten weights. They had a drop shot worm, they had like a fluke, they had several plastics that had tungsten into the plastic. They were trying to make you Texas rigger worm without a bullet weight, basically. And then they had the frog and the swim bait.
Yeah, the pad crasher.
For the money, it's freaking hard to beat a pad crasher.
I think the Terminator frog is actually a great bait. Mm-hmm. I like this one a lot. I think this is probably one that's super underrated that not a lot of people throw, and you can get in a lot of places. It's super soft. It's got good hooks in it. It walks really good. One downside is the weights don't stay in them great, so those do fall out a little too easy sometimes.
You do any modifications, Rich? You throw the rattles in there? Do you glue your weights in your frog?
So I do a little bit of trimming. I don't like super long skirts, but nothing crazy. I do have these little, I'm running low on them, these little steel dowels. And they're just like little half-inch, little tiny steel rods. And I'll put 2 or 3 of those in a frog, especially when I'm mat fishing. And then that gives me a little bit of noise. Right, here's one that's got, actually up by my mic. Right, so it gets a little noise, but I like it because it gives me the weight when I'm fishing a mat. Right, it's just a little, take it out of the bag. So it doesn't have any noise to it, but they'll clank together. And that mat, when you're fishing a mat, you want your ass end of your frog to push down and make it. The fish is feeling that disturbance on the mat more than anything. And so the harder you push on the mat without sinking your frog, the better they can track it. And then the less likely when they come up through all the garbage that they're going to push that frog away. It'll kind of sit down. So
that's
I definitely like to weight I like to weight my frogs more when I'm mat fishing. If I'm fishing pads or skipping around docks or trees or things like that, I'm just gonna maybe put a little rat on there, maybe not. I mean, that's more a visual thing. I don't like to put things in there if I don't have to, because anything that gets in there potentially could, you get unlucky and that thing turns the wrong way, it could interfere with the hookup. So
that's why I got you on here, Rich. You these guys up north, they know their frogs. Good information right there. James Barron, he wants to know the sprinkler versus the toad runner. Do you do any of the plopping frog stuff?
I have bought a couple, but haven't done much. So I've bought a couple. I haven't played around with them. I've seen a few guys catch them on the Booyah. I played around with it. The hooks didn't lay great on the Booyah one that my buddy had. Like, after he fished it, it was weird. Like, the hooks wouldn't lay exactly right in the one he had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it felt like when I had his, I could never get the hooks to quite sit right on the legs would want to kick out and it would want to get all weird.
Yeah. Z-Bait says the Booyah is a little stiff.
Yeah, so I haven't played around with it much. I do have a couple of these that I scored. I think I got this one on clearance somewhere. I haven't played around with it yet, but I bought some, so I'll probably try them a little more. I do like a cane toad or a Stanley ribbit sometimes on the river. Like when the duckweed's nice and thin, that thing just kind of goes through and it just makes a little path, and they just shark it, and just at times can be really good.
I like like on the sprinkler frog, it's got that. Like mine, you see how the hooks are in the back end of the body.
Yeah.
The butt end of the frog isn't super wide, and I think that allows them to get it. I've caught a few fish on this, nothing crazy. I've caught way more fish on my go-to is the jackal, man. I like the jackal a lot, and very underrated. The old Spro Killer Gill popping frog is freaking nasty, man. I have caught a lot of fish. Right now is the time of year I'm throwing a frog. You can hear this one. Got a little jingle bell in it. Those fish start garden fry or whatnot. Killer Gill Spro frog. Oh man, that thing is nasty.
They also make this, I think it's called a spittin'.
Yeah, I got a couple behind me hanging up. Yeah, I've never thrown them.
They make the tail go a little more vertical, and it's still got that. It's almost got more of a shower blow mouth on it. It's not quite the same popper.
Mm-hmm.
This can be good. More of an open water frog, not so much a mat frog. But
yeah, so my frog fishing here, Rich, I'm more of skipping under laydowns, under willow trees. I throw them under docks. Believe it or not, I've caught some of my biggest fish on a frog on riprap. I don't know why, but they like those bass hang out, and they don't see that a whole lot. And I wonder if they just think it's a little mouse or something that's come off there. But
it can be up here, like on the river. A lot of times, cut banks. A lot of guys throw them on cut banks, just that river bank.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know, like when the Elite Series guys came up here the first couple times, they literally threw a frog everywhere on the river and got bit. Like,
right. CG3 says the Stanley Top Toad. That is one of the most underrated frogs out there. Zach Burge has won a lot of money on the Stanley Top Toad. That's kind of one of those baits that pros don't talk about, but they catch them on it quite a bit.
Is the Top Toad the soft plastic one, or is that a different?
It's a soft plastic. The Top Toad it's like a rivet, but it's got a bigger profile and it's a hollow belly.
Okay. So it's more like the Demiki Air Frog a little bit.
Yeah, very similar style. The Gavacho, that's the one I use. Someone's asking. I've got two, and this is the colors I like. I like red frog for some reason here. They really get on
a little too high.
A little too high. Thank you, producer. Appreciate it. The red frog is really good, and then I just I go white if I think they're going to be on some type of shad bite. Shad spawn, I'm going to go with a white, and that's going on right now, but around the bushes stuff, that red. I don't know why it is about this red, but a good friend of mine got me on that, and I pretty much stick to those two colors. Black's good. You can't go wrong with white or black. Red's kind of his specialty. I know, like Matt Allen, he loves a chartreuse frog. You can hear him talk about in videos. He wants that chartreuse. I think a lot of it's where you live too. I mean, in the forge. So
there's guys that live and die by the chartreuse frog around here. But yeah, you don't need to get crazy with frogs. Some kind of black, sometimes a white. If you want to get crazy, throw in a brown or something with a bright belly, and then that's about it.
So I know when Zach Burge fished up there last year in MLF, he was throwing that Depths Buster K. A lot of guys were like, "Man, what's that bait you're throwing? That's totally crazy." And the bait's been around for a long time, but he was throwing a Depths Buster K quite a bit. It's a weird popping frog. They don't hold up very well.
Frankie wants to know about the lunker hunt with the spinning legs. I have no idea. I can't bring myself to try it.
Yeah, Whopper Plopper me or Chapo.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, that's just a plopping style bait, and I'm not going to go away from the original there.
Well, I feel like it's got the twin legs. That's going to be hard for a fish to get. I feel like they're going to fight those legs to try to get to the hooks on those.
Yeah, so it's basically
kind of like the savage duck too, like with those twin.
Yeah, that thing's a piece of junk, man.
They're hook blockers. I mean, you can get bites on them, but I don't think they're designed to. They're designed to catch fishermen and attract fish, but not to hook fish.
Yeah, so I did a review on that and got a lot of views, and because I didn't give an outstanding review, Savage Gear roasted me all up on YouTube. And it may be a great musky bait, and I think that's what it was designed for, but it's hard to market a bait like that to bass guys. It's really hard to get that top hook separated. Someone said the Slither K is a sick bait. That's a really good walking frog. It's very small, got a little fur tail in it. It's really good here when the grass is just below the surface, or if got what we call pond grass. It's just grass that grows off the bank and these yellow flowers, goldenrods, where it's not thick and matted up. It's kind of like pencil grass, and it's really good to walk around that. That's a really good one.
William wants to know, is August a good time to throw big topwaters? Potentially. I think base it on the size of the bait you're seeing in the water. So if you live in a place where you're seeing big gizzard shads cruising around, if you're seeing the fish target larger perch or larger bluegills, then yes, start throwing a big topwater. That's what I say.
Yeah. So back in my high school, early college days, I would go fishing all the time before school, and I'd take one rod with me because I'm just trying to get on the water, fish for an hour, get back off. I was late a few times. I had a really cool gym teacher who just wouldn't count me absent, as long as I showed up before the second period bell rang. But I'd just take one rod from probably now till into August, and I'd fish a couple hours, and I just went on that top water. Sometimes, especially in the summer, that first 2 hours of the morning, hour and a half, you can get rich really quick on top water. What kind of sucks in a tournament, though, is holding those fish all day long.
Yeah, especially down south. I mean, it's a little easier up here because the water doesn't get nearly as hot, and we don't get as hot. So it's a little easier to keep your fish alive.
Chris Kuhn, the Accent Game Changer Finesse is a really good buzzbait. It doesn't change the game, but it's a great buzzbait. You got any game changers over there, Rich?
Game changers. Oof. Besides the...
What's a bait you got that, besides a bladed jig maybe, that you said, man, this thing really helped my fishing, or just totally different?
Totally different. I mean, I'll tell you something that I throw a ton of. I mean, this is not necessarily a game changer, but like this is, I mean, you talk about a bread and butter for me.
Yeah, what's one of your bread and butters?
Box of Bass Tech tungsten jigs.
Uh-oh. I'm getting into that tungsten jig thing, and I like it.
Yeah, so to me, like day in and day out, I'm throwing what is called an Okie Craw, which is basically a tramp stamp, black, blue, green pumpkin, Arky style flipping jig. The half ounce has got a nice 5/0 hook in it, and then a half ounce I'm gonna usually throw like a spicy beaver or something with a big kicking trough, and then my 3/8 ounce version I'll throw, a Menace Scrub or a Speed Craw in the back. That's kind of like, and to me, the tungsten, it's got a small profile. This thing keeps amazing, gets in and out of cover. These got good hooks in them. I mean, I catch a ton of fish. Like that's my bread and butter. I mean, if I can catch them on a jig, that's what I'm gonna do. I mean, if they won't bite it, I'll figure out another way to catch them. But like that's my, it's kind of one of the package there. Like just simple packaging. They fit super nice in my box. I don't have to get rid of the blisters and the cards and all that junk. I just like drop the packs right in there. I can put a whole bunch of them in my box, and they're hand tied underneath the skirt, and then there's a collar that that has the rattles on it if you want them. So
so if a man was going to buy some of those Bass Techs, where can he get those at?
You can get them at Tackle Warehouse. You can get them at TackleSmith.com, or you can get them at TungstenJigs.com.
I see you got an Omnia fishing hat there. They're kind of a new player up in that online tackle game, coming on pretty strong.
Yeah.
And they carry my boy Matt Robertson. If y'all want an Onum hat, you go to Omnia Fishing, get you Onum hat.
Yeah, he's one of the few places you can get the Onum hat. So Omnia is a cool. I mean, they've been open maybe just about a year now. They've had about a year anniversary. They're adding new stuff all the time. They have a small storefront here in Minnesota. They also do online. They're open right now. They're still shipping stuff every day. I actually placed an order this morning and it shipped out today. So they're getting their stuff out super fast. Here's what. There's the tape you can see. I don't know if you can really. There's Omnia Fishing. I ordered some 6 cents from them the other day, so they got 6 cents curve square bills. Here's something cool. Every time you order from Omnia, they write you a handwritten note thanking you for your business.
Now that's awesome right there. I used to do that. I used to do that stuff, and it'd blow my mind how many people email me like, "Got the baits. Appreciate the service. I really appreciate you writing me a note." I mean, I just always felt like, you know what? Even though you don't meet these people, you got to have a personalized relationship with them, and if it's just a thank you, dash your name, people see that and they go, okay. And if they have an issue, they call in and say, hey, you know, can I speak to Kevin or whatnot? Because they, obviously, you sign the receipt. They know who packed the box. And a lot of times, oh, yeah, I remember that order, blah, blah, blah. That's just good business, man. I like that.
And I guess I do have a code. Do people like discount codes here?
We like discount codes.
So Omnia Fishing. Code is Rich Lindgren 15.
They should just made it HellaBass.
Yeah.
How
work on that. So that if you want to try them out and give them a whirl, if you want, they did just run a 20% off on Zoom. They are running some discounts on some other stuff. That code might stack. I'm not sure. So if you're looking to dabble and try another company, I mean, we all love Tackle Warehouse. They're I mean, let's not pretend we don't all shop there. But if you're looking for another option, that some good dudes that really like fishing, check them out. And there's a code that'll save you 15%.
That's awesome. So
they also
go ahead, Rich.
Go ahead. They have a shop by lake feature. So if you're kind of like getting into fishing, you maybe don't feel like you're an expert on every lake across the country. They've got this program where they have people can submit fishing reports. They have Omnia ambassadors that fill out lake reports and like do like lure picks and patterns. So like you can go on there and say, I'm going to Gunnersville. I've never been there before. I want to target crappies, or I want to go to Lake Mille Lacs and I want to target walleyes, or I want to go to here. There will be regional guys have filled out the picks and how they fish those lakes for different seasons that you can read and get you in the right spot. So you could shop for, like, if you're a guy that likes, like, hey, I love fishing down. I'm from Oklahoma. I love fishing, but I'm booking a trip and I'm going to Mille Lacs this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know nothing about Mille Lacs. You can go in there and shop Mille Lacs, and it'll tell you everything you need to go to Mille Lacs or
Dude, that's awesome.
Or Gunnersville.
That's awesome. Hopefully my boy Onum is helping them out on the Kentucky Lake Juice there. I've had some people asking about the boat industry news, and I'll let them know. This is a rumor. It is not gospel, but from a good source, I've heard Triton is out of the fiberglass game. They have built their last fiberglass boat. The other news is Ranger is doing a lot of cuts with pro staff and memo deals. If you don't know what a memo deal is, basically you get a boat on a note and for so long, and then you have to pay the interest on it. And if you don't sell it quick, it's just like buying a brand new boat plus the interest. So that's why you see these pros get a boat and it's up for sale. They want to take a deposit. They don't want to be sitting on that boat at the end of the year. But I don't think that has anything to do with Covoid. I think that more has to do with boat sales are just down. And I'll be honest, I think the industry kind of done it to themselves with the price of boats is so expensive right now. I mean, you can get a new Phoenix, a Camus, a Nitro for a lot less than a lot of other brands right now. So that's where we're at with that. That's also why kayak fishing has blown the heck up. Now, I have seen guys putting like $5,000 accessory on a $4,000 Hobie kayak. I'm like, dude, you know you can buy an old Nitro fiberglass for like that price.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So you crankbait fish quite a bit up there?
A little bit. I'm trying to do more. Like, so I would say for crankbaits, for me, uh, like the way our grass lines fish, and we get a lot of like true weed line fishing, like up here. Like the grass. We'll have an inside weed line that typically is at like 2-3 feet, and then you'll basically have a weed flat out, and depending on the water clear of the lake, that weed edge could start at 8-10 feet, or it could go all the way out to like 16, 17, 18, 20 feet, and then. But a lot of times there's a really good shoulder on a lot of our lakes, and a DT6, you can get out in that like 12 to 15 feet of water and make a quartering cast and bring it off that edge, and it just ticks those grass on that shoulder, and it's a great way to find fish. And sometimes it's a great way to catch them, but it's a great way to like locate schools in Minnesota, and then you can go back there and flip a jig, or flip a tube craw, or fish a jig worm or a drop shot, and then like mine them once you get them out of there. So that lipless cranks are good all year over the grass here. And then you can, I mean, then we do have some offshore rocks that are outside, or hard spots, or gravel bars and stuff that are a little deeper in the weeds, and you can throw DT16s and DT20s are super. I mean, this is the Rapala country up here. Like, you don't see as much of the Sixth Sense and the 6XDs and that kind of stuff up here. You see a lot of Rapala. But I mean, not saying they don't work. It's just people's preference up here. And I think the Rapalas in general do well with grass. So I think that's why they're popular.
Yes, they do. DT6 is just a freaking fish catcher anywhere you go.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you what I noticed when I was filming some stuff is once you got like above Chicago, if you just drew a horizontal line and went up, Berkeley power bait, the whole Berkeley stuff is huge. You don't. Sure. I didn't see a lot of Zoom and Gambler and missile baits and net bait. It was like power bait everywhere.
Yeah, every little gas station that has like a small selection of tackle will have like some power bait grubs, some power bait worms, some power bait slugs. Like, yeah, like that's definitely.
I'm a super popular. And believe it or not, someone asked me the other night what's one of my favorite big worms. I've always been a Lucky Strike ringworm guy. But they get off that, and once they do, it's like a 10-inch power worm, blue fleck or plum. That is the deal the rest of the summer. I love the big. Oh, I've been wanting to get that for my stream. Show it off there, Rich. The bellow stick from Geek Crack.
I put these on my list. I think I got them for my birthday or Christmas or something, and I want to try these bad boys. Like.
Yeah, so I had a pack of plum ones, and I went through them. That is one of the nastiest Nico rig baits I've ever thrown.
And this thing is massive. I mean, I could see throwing this like weightless. I could see throwing this on a Carolina rig, on a big shaky head. Like that's, yeah, like.
Yeah, so I was putting like a quarter ounce, basically. Yeah, dude, it will choke you. Go wash your hands.
I'm probably going to be sleeping on the couch tonight.
That's where I sleep about every night after I do the show. So I was putting 2 nail weights in there to get a quarter ounce because it's so fat you can do that. Yeah. And throwing that sucker out on a ledge, and they would just freaking hammer that thing. They hold up pretty decent, but there's only, six in a pack or something like that?
Yeah.
The one I had was like plum. It's similar to like a Hag's Tornado or the Grande Bass, but the plastic's different. It's a different feel, and it's more massive. It's an awesome bait. That's a company they keep putting out stuff like that, and they make the Bellows gill.
Yeah.
They're really growing. Carl asked what size hooks do I use on a Nico. I use a 1/0. That's my favorite. Actually, I use a 1. Yeah, 1's bigger than a 1/0, correct? I don't know. No, 1/0 is bigger than a 1. That's the one I use.
Yeah, just I was going to say, like, just so people can tell how big this thing is. Here's like a 5-inch stickworm.
Yeah, dude.
That's like a Gambler Ace, which is similar to a Senko or a Dinger, but like it's just.
Now they do make a bellow stick in a smaller size too. They make a creature bait, and I don't have one that's like the size of that bellow stick. I don't have one. It's the biggest like brush hog I've ever seen. It looks like it really looks like a lobster, not a rage lobster, like triple that size. It is huge.
Here's my philosophy, right? Like, sure, I could have bought the normal size bellow stick, but like if I'm gonna throw a $2 stick bait, I want it to be a 5-6 pounder in a tournament.
That's right.
I can catch my 2 and 3 pounders with this one, and then I'm gonna bring this one out for that big girl.
That's right. Let's see. All right, here's a good question, Chris. Rich, what are the pros and cons of tournament fishing? You've stated you love fishing tournaments, and
yeah,
hey, I still do too. I just don't fish as much of them.
Yeah, for me. So let's go with the pros. The pros. I think if you ever like played competitive sports, if you played football, baseball, tennis, like if you got some kind of competitive itch in your being, then like tournaments is how you scratch that as an adult without getting in fist fights at like local pickup basketball games at the gym.
Yeah, church league softball. Right? That's a good one if you want to see some fights.
Right. Like so. I mean, like if you're not like I mean, you could still do like softball and basketball, but at some point, you're probably going to blow an ACL and you're going to get too fat and out of shape and not do that stuff. But tournament fishing, you keep yourself in reasonably good shape. You can tournament fish for a long, long time. So that's probably some of the pros. You get to meet a lot of cool dudes. There's a couple of guys that aren't so cool every now and again, but for the most part,
we won't mention their names.
90% of the guys you're going to meet, especially in like a draw tournament, like a BFL or something like that, they're going to be cool dudes. So you're going to build some lifelong friendships, especially in a club. I mean, I think if you want to dabble in tournaments, join a TBF or a Bass Nation club. You're going to meet a bunch of cool dudes. You're going to get in a boat, fish with guys that fish different than you or gals, and you're going to learn stuff. Mm-hmm. Even if you're a better fisherman than them, they're going to look at the water different. They're going to approach it different, and you're going to just expand the way you fish by fishing with a bunch of different people. So it's kind of like getting into tournaments is kind of like joining the gym. Like you pay your fees. It makes you go fishing. Like
yes,
that's another good thing. Like it's easy to get. It's out. There's always lawns to be mowed. There's work to be done. There's fences to be painted. There's honey-do lists that never end. But if you pay your entry fees at the beginning of the year, damn it, you're going to get out and do some fishing.
Right.
So that's most of the pros. I know you want to add any other pros that you can think of.
I think you're basically summing up the camaraderie part. You start becoming friends with these guys, and even though sometimes you don't do good, you start rooting for your friends quite a bit. And they see that, when you come to weigh in, maybe you've got a big sack of fish and they don't, but every time they've weighed in, had a good, you're shaking their hand. It's nice to have someone congratulate you when you do good. It's a good feeling, and congratulate you when you do bad and say, hey, man, keep your head up, you're a good fisherman, all that. Mm-hmm. And the way I always took it, and I fished BFLs when I was like 16. As soon as they let me fish co-angler, my dad would save. And, of course, I thought I was a lot better than I was, but I sucked. But if you go into the mindset, especially fishing as a co-angler, I want to catch and fish, but I want to learn. Uh-huh. It's just picking up those little things from guys. Maybe the way a guy's fishing his jig. Maybe he's a short hopper. I've been with a guy like that. He didn't stroke it. He just little short hops. And, man, I was stroking a jig, and he was crushing them. Maybe it's the way he's fishing his crankbait. You look, and, man, I think I'm reeling the same and everything. You look, and he's running a 7-to-1. You're on a 5-5-to-1. He's reeling, the same speed, but he's pulling way more line than you. It's just little things like that, and that's a pro of tournament fishing. The cons is it can get expensive, and you can't get in over your head. And I think sometimes people just take it too serious. I'm a jokester. I like to have fun. And I've been lucky. A lot of the guys I draw, they may not talk a lot, but they've got a great sense of humor.
Yeah, so I think most of the negatives are, like, don't get it over your head. If you get it over your head, it can get expensive. It can wear on you. But you can fish. I mean, I think Sobe and I jumped in a fall tournament last year, and I think it was like $50 with big fish for a tournament, for a team tournament. Like, if you can't afford $20-$30 a piece, you probably can't afford to own a boat or go, you know what I mean? Like, or like you can't afford to put line in. I mean, like, so I mean, like, you can get in a tournament fishing super cheap, right? There's stuff that's $20 fruit jar Tuesday night tournaments, all the way up to, like, you can spend $5,000 in a team tournament. So do what you feel comfortable with. I think a lot of people, it gets to them because they beat themselves up. You got to go in with I'm testing myself. I'm learning. This is fun. If you keep the stakes low while you're learning, I think that'll help. But there's some guys that just, it's not for them. eats them up. Like it's not for everybody. If you're the kind of person that like is just like you want to break your rod every time you don't win a tournament, then that's probably. I mean, you should want to get better when you don't do well. But if it's negatively affecting your life, then it's not for you, right? So,
yeah.
The other big downside of tournament fishing is you end up with a bait wall like this.
Absolutely. Yeah, people want to know how you get all that bait. I'm like, I fish tournaments, man. Because the night before after the BFL meeting was always the best in a tackle shop because people would go in there and they start mingling. Well, I caught them on this worm, then I caught them on this jig, and you need a spinnerbait and this blade combination. All of a sudden, people are flooding and they're, man, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, and all of a sudden they got $200. And that's how you end up with a giant tackle room. I spend way less money on tackle now that I just kind of fish a few buddy tournaments here and there. When I buy tackle, I'm trying to buy crazy, unique stuff, and it's the same mindset, really. In a tournament, I want to prove to myself that I can catch them, and then I want to prove to myself when I buy, let's just say I bought those new chase baits, beaver style. I want to go out there and fish with it and see if I can catch them on it. And if I can, I'm like, okay, that's something I can lean on. And if I can't, I just don't buy no more.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if you want to fish as a go in there with the mindset that you're there to learn, and if you end up cashing a check, that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, I never got none of those. Like I said, I sucked, and I got out of it. But I won't get back into it because I had a lot of fun. Whether I ever caught a check or not, I wasn't trying to be. I didn't wear a jersey. Actually, before I actually got some old school Lucky Craft, the ones that actually snap and button.
Nice.
Yeah, and I got some old Team Yamaha ones too, but I was just, I wanted to have fun, and that was my way to relax on a weekend. I have a lot of good memories from that, and then I really got into the buddy fishing deal with my fishing partner, and he fishes a lot without me now, just because 2 kids. He's a grandpa, so he don't have to. He sends those when he wants to fish a tournament. He sends the grandkids home. I don't have that luxury yet.
Yeah.
He's like my second dad too, so he usually sent me home as well. But it's fun, and if you get a partner that you really enjoy fishing with, it makes a huge difference on your confidence, the fun level. And when you fish with the same person over and over with, you learn that, hey, my buddy Jeff, he's going to catch him on a crankbait, Carolina rig, and a jig. When he's got his thing going on, that's when I pick up my worm, my swim bait, shaky head, and I'm really good with the net. If there's one thing I'm good at, Rich, I'm a freaking awesome net man. And I'll be back there doing my own thing, and all of a sudden I'm up there with a net, and he said, I didn't say net, and I said, I seen you kind of swing out of the corner of my eye. And so I'm always right there. You learn.
You saw him, like, get on point.
Yes, like a bird dog. That's what I do, get the bird dog in it. He's bad about just start reeling. I'll look over there and see he's doing this, and he's not going to go get the net. But it's fun, and you learn a lot about people, and I've learned a lot of good life lessons out there. And, dude, fishing's the deal. And I want people that watch my stream or any stream stuff on here. I don't care, really, if you watch the Googans. I like to joke around. But if it's fun for you and you're getting out there, you're doing it for the right reason. I mean, obviously, elite level, FLW, MLF, that's a total different deal. Those guys are fishing to make a living. And we'd all like to get there.
Yeah, if you want to get better, it's a crash course to getting better. Like, you're going to learn things fast. Like, it's going to ramp things up. If you really have a thirst to learn, jumping in a boat, especially with, I think you learn more joining a club, fishing with different people, or jumping in a BFL or something like that as a co, than you and your buddy, if you're both at the same level and you're jumping into tournaments, you're going to take your lumps together. Depending on the league, some of the leagues are really good, right? If you got like a small weeknight league or a regional thing, sometimes they will sit there and like tell you what guys did and talk about it afterwards. But some of them are a little cutthroat and they don't want to tell nothing. Those aren't necessarily healthy environments for new guys to go into tournaments. So
I agree with that. And I've always been very open about it, and some of the local guys give me a lot of shit. Pardon my French. They're like, man, why are you talking about that on your stream? I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. If you're that good, you're going to catch them whether I tell somebody or not. It's just like when people go, well, here's a waypoint, man. If you go over here and you catch these fish, dude, it's hard for me to catch another man's fish. I don't know about you. I've never done any good trying to fish somebody else's stuff. I always do a lot better trying to do my own thing.
Absolutely. I mean, it definitely helps to know areas of the lake, creek arms, bays, sections of the lake, general strategies, but I think you still want to find them yourself. That it always works out better that way.
Yeah. Someone asked, how long was it till I got confidence in my own fishing? And I'll be honest, after I bought my big Skeeter, it was about a year or two. Once I actually figured out the offshore game, where I could go out on a 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I could kind of graph my own fish. I could go by myself. I didn't have to worry about dragging Dad with me. I started getting confident when I would go by myself with nobody else in the boat, and I could put together 5 fish, whether that was shallow or deep. It's a great feeling, man. It really is.
Yeah, that's funny, James.
I agree with Colonel Red. What kills me are the guys that call for info but clam up when you need a little bit. Dude, that's across everywhere. There's some guys that, when they're not catching them, they're blowing your phone up. When they are, it's like they don't pay their cell phone bill like me.
Yeah, I think it's good. Like, have buddies that you can trust, even if they're not the best fishermen in the world, but at least you know what they're telling you
is no BS.
Right, because nothing worse is getting bad information than you try to go with it, and that leads you down a path that's just no good. So
yeah, that's one thing about kind of got a little circle, and that's okay. I won't say it's a clique, but it's as Will Ferrell would say, the tree of trust. My tree's not very tall. And I recommend that because if you get a guy that, hey, he may not be the best fisherman, but he says, I caught him on a chartreuse and blue 6XD off pea gravel points, you can probably take it to the bank that there's fish there because this guy don't catch them a whole lot. Then if you get that guy that's always catching, he said, I caught him Carolina rig and, a power worm or whatnot. You don't know if he's telling the truth or not, But I like to keep the circles, the trust tree pretty small. And I don't take a lot of different people fishing unless they're from out of town, man. That's just how it is. But I live in a different part of the world than you, Rich. I'd love to go up to places like Minnesota, Texas, where the population of fish is so high. It's not a real waypoint, ledge-oriented deal. It's more of a true pattern. That's the thing about offshore fishing. There's not a pattern to offshore fishing. It's a timing deal, and it really is a spot deal. You can have 2 ledges right next to each other, and they may sit on that one ledge for a month and never go to the other one.
Yeah, I get the same thing sometimes. Like, people will be like, why are you showing this stuff on your YouTube channel? Why are, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, come on, guys. Like, for small lakes, I do my best not to, like, tell the names of the lakes, because some of these, like, we have a lot of, like, less than 1,000-acre lakes in Minnesota. So, like, if it's a good lake, you don't necessarily want 20, 30 boats showing up there every weekend. On big lakes like Mille Lacs and some of our bigger lakes, the big tournament lakes, I'm fine talking about, I'm on the Mississippi River, I'm on Mille Lacs, I'm on the Whitefish Chain, I'm on Minnetonka. That stuff's already popular. It's already getting beat. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't try to, like, drag small little lakes through the mud and get them beat up, but, like, I'm not afraid to, I'm not trying to, like, blur out or hide stuff. Like, I mean, I'm there to entertain and teach people how to fish. To me, like, if a few of your buddies' spots get given up, or people get butthurt about, their secret weed line or their secret row of docks getting exposed, like, whatever. Like,
yeah, I mean, as good as electronics are and everything is now, if I go fish a top secret spot on Kentucky Lake, now I know how to manipulate that camera a little bit too to keep that out. Sure. But I like to be respectful. I always ask guys, "Hey, you mind if I bring a GoPro?" And usually, like, no, I don't care. People are gonna find it anyway. Now, if I'm fishing brush piles, I do get a little secretive, but I just want to. We do it not because we want to show off that we can catch fish. We want to show you how to catch those fish. And I don't upload a lot of videos of me fishing. And I'm honest, guys, I'm lazy. I hate bringing a GoPro and all that, but I'm trying to do more of it. But I just want to save my fish catches. So if I do videos where I'm talking about a deep crankbait, Carolina rig, best colors and all that, I can overlay that stuff. I like to do a little bit of the vlogging on the crazy stuff. I know people really like that style. That's just not me. That's for Darius Fishing and some of them other guys. My shorts are way too long compared to Darren. He's got those chicken legs.
I think he shaves his legs too.
Yeah,
Weird.
he's got a good tan. Darren's cool, dude. I like him. If you're not watching his channel, go over there. He's got more subs than me. But what else do you want to talk about, Rich? I mean, we've been on here for an hour and a half, man. We got about 230, 240 viewers.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, hey, this is like, to me, is just like I've been doing more and more of these like chats with other guys, just doing like IG lives and things, and this is like, it's just, to me, is like hanging out at the boat ramp, having a cold one,
that's
and
it.
just shooting the shit. Like,
except we're
talking
drinking
fishing.
Mountain Dew, baby. I'm getting jacked up. I can feel it in my upper stomach. Good question, Kyle. Do you ever fish junk mats on the Mississippi River?
A little bit, but there's so much grass. We have actual duckweed and grass mats, so much more up here. So you really don't need to worry about like debris mats in the Mississippi River. I mean, yeah, sure. Like sometimes a little debris mat will like form on an eddy on a riprap bank or a cut bank. Sure, hit it. But like there's so many like weed mats that you don't necessarily need to run that pattern. So, but yeah, I mean, I love a good debris mat just as much as anything.
Let me ask you this about grass. What type of grass are you fishing? Are you fishing milfoil, fishing hydrilla, eelgrass? What's the primary forage up there?
Well, vegetation.
Or vegetation, I'm sorry.
So on the Mississippi, so we don't have any hydrilla up here anywhere. So the only time I've ever fished that is when I've been down to like Gunnersville and Clarksville and places like that in Texas. But on the Mississippi River, primarily you get eelgrass. We have a lot of eelgrass on the Mississippi River, which you guys are getting more and more of down there on the Tennessee River.
Yes, well, it's in Gunnersville and in Pickwick, really good. And the bass really like it, by the way, here.
Yeah, it's really good. So do the pike, the northern here. So there's a lot of eelgrass. On the river, there's a lot of pads. There's a lot of floating duckweed mats. There's a fair amount of milfoil on the Mississippi River, a little bit of coontail. On our lakes, we have a lot of northern milfoil. We have quite a bit of Eurasian milfoil in most lakes. We have some kind of cabbage weeds. We have coontail. So there's a fair amount of different.
Got a smorgasbord of grass up there.
Like it's like if you go into like our lakes are like Seabold Creek, just about everywhere. They are chock full of grass.
I like Seabold Creek, man.
like picture like the back end of Seabold, back by the old the airport or whatever back there. Like that's how most all of our lakes look everywhere.
Dude, I know what you're talking about. Last time I was at Gunnersville, I smashed them back that way by the old airport. Yeah. That's a great area. That's my favorite area of Gunnersville. That and North Saudi.
Yep,
those are my favorites.
Although North Saudi doesn't have much grass right now, I don't think, based on the last time I was there. Some eelgrass out in the mouth of it, out in front of Goose Pond and stuff on the humps, but there wasn't any grass in North Saudi that I could find.
No, I caught them all a little hump in there. Just a normal hump, no grass on it, nothing. I actually found a shad spawn just south of there, just some random point. I couldn't even tell you what it was, but there was a little bit of grass and started seeing them shad flicks. Slow rolled the big nickels down there and caught them. Again, like you said, Gunnersville, tons of bait fish. You can smash them on that big spinnerbait this time of year when you find that shad spawn.
So here's the Lunker Lures fishing smallies versus largies on the Mississippi River.
Yeah, let's go.
I guess, I mean, shameless plug here. You can watch the video I posted yesterday where I was on the Mississippi River fishing pre-spawn largies and small.
You plug all you want to. I don't care.
Which Lunkers is a sub, so he probably knows. But so I guess it kind of depends on the season. Right now, pre-spawn, largies definitely want to get out of the current pretty bad in my experience. So you're looking for backwater lakes that have almost no current, good flats, access to deep water, looking for hard bottom banks, possibly some incoming grass, wood, that kind of stuff, something with a deep they want access to deep water, but they want a shallow flat. It's not that different than targeting largies on lakes. You got to get out of the current and find that water. Smallies like gravel and sand, and they like a light current, and they want access to water and current pretty readily. So you're looking for current seams in the pre-spawn that are close to where they can get up and find that gravel in low current or no current areas. Getting into the spawn, that gets pretty straightforward. Coming out of the spawn, the smallies are going to get in the hard current pretty fast. That could be cut banks, it could be grass lines, it could be sand drops, it could be riprap. You're typically looking for bait, and you're looking for current seams and current breaks near hard current. So it could be wing dams, it could be riprap banks. There's a lot of options, but for smallies, you're going to want to be more towards the main river and the main chutes, looking for current. Largies are going to be further back in the sloughs. They're going to get more around the vegetation. They're still going to want to be close to current and moving water in rivers. They're going to be more where you're finding the bluegills and things like that and that type of stuff. And the smallies are going to be more chasing the shad. They're going to want more rock and wood for smallies and hard bottom. And the largemouth are kind of like Florida. They're going to search that clean water where the vegetation is filtering it on the Mississippi River. So there's a lot of intricacies, but
yeah, dude, that's some freaking good information right there. That's the kind of stuff I want to bring. That's the stuff you need to break down on your YouTube channel. That I know guys want to hear when you're going to approach one thing versus the other. Now I'll tell you, I don't live far from the Mississippi River. I live about 25 minutes from it, and it's the biggest freaking gar hole in the world. This stretch of the Mississippi River from like here, through up towards Chicago, all that stuff. It's just, god dang, it sucks. I don't know what about it. We got wing dams and stuff. You can catch some fish on it. I'm not gonna say it's unfishable, but it's a total different fishery.
Yeah, like it goes from like when you get to Iowa, it really kind of gets bad, and then when you get down to Venice, it gets good again.
Yeah, it's like the very end of it and the very start of it are really good. The whole middle stretch is just waste of time. But you know, you got I got the Ohio and the Tennessee that branch off of it, and I like fishing the river. It's different.
Yeah, and I think it's robust up here because we have so much vegetation, and we're high enough on the river that the floods don't blow it out. I think when you get down to like pools, you start getting down to like pools 13, 14, 15, 19 down there, that the floods just destroy their vegetation, and it really can set them back. Like Fort Madison and stuff can be really good for a while, and then they'll get a big flood and it kind of like decimates them for a while, and like they cycle a lot more. So they have periods like, I think Scott's talking about pool and 18 or 19 are really good, but I think they can get hit hard and then they'll kind of take a while to rebound. But
all right, I'm going to ask you some random questions here. Favorite lake, least favorite lake around the country.
Around the country. Ooh.
You traveled, you fished.
Yeah, I fished Gunners once. I'm pretty impressed with that. So I would say like my destination nationally lakes, I would say Lake Fork and Gunnersville have been my favorite two lakes that I've visited. Least place that I've ever traveled to fish, I had to fish a tournament on the Illinois River in Peoria.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about, that's when Asian carp just started coming out, and like, oh my gosh, like.
I've heard it's actually gotten better.
Sure.
Dustin Taylor in the stream, I think he's fished the Illinois River several times. I think he's one of those Illinois rats. He catches them. For me, to be honest, lake I've never been to, I've got to get on Clear Lake. And the worst is Wren Lake in Illinois. That is a freaking gar hole.
Yeah.
I know someone that caught a 16-pound bag at Wren Lake, and that's like catching 40 on Kentucky Lake. It's just like that.
I fished a handful. Like I fished Monroe Lake in Indiana. I fished what's near Terre Haute? What's
Patoka?
Patoka. I fished Patoka, some Bassmaster Weekend Series. So I mean, those lakes have some good qualities and some bad qualities.
Patoka used to be really good, and then they killed the grass, and it got really bad. And it's come back really good now.
Yeah, I didn't like. I liked and didn't like when Monroe was super tough when we were there. Like a Northern Divisional, there was 90 boats, and there wasn't a limit weight in 3 days by 80 some guys. Like, but it was a tough tournament. I made it to the Bass Nation National, so I was one step away from the Classic. But
damn,
it was good.
I didn't know that.
It was good. Yeah, it was good for me. I made it out of there and made it to Nationals, and I fished the Ouachita River in Louisiana, which was nuts. That was like Duck Dynasty territory and fishing cypress trees and stuff, and that was a learning experience.
Yeah, so I used to work for FLW, and I was the TA, tournament assistant, so I'm the guy that handed out the checks and did the drawing, and I had the Hoosier division.
Okay.
And we had Monroe, and this was like 2006 or 7. I think 2007. And the water had come up really high, and those guys whacked them on Monroe.
It's actually like the week before we were there in a Wednesday night derby, somebody weighed like 26 pounds.
Yeah, it has them in it. And when it's on, it's on.
It was on, and then like during practice it was actually pretty good. We had like overcast, wind, rain. I was catching them on a Boogerman buzzbait. I was getting bigs.
Yeah, I've seen them Boogermans behind you. Don't try to hide them, Rich. I know you got a big stash.
I had to I was overnighting these to from Tackle Warehouse when they were still making them for that tournament. It was probably, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. And I was all excited, and then it got dead calm, no clouds, just post-frontal, and the bite just shut down. Nobody was catching them. Even there was 12 guys there from Indiana, and none of them weighed a limit on their home lake in 3 days.
Wow.
I ended up catching most of my fish throwing a weightless Senko on a spinning rod.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
It's amazing, though. Someone mentioned those lakes get a lot of pressure, and that's the thing. Those southern Indiana lakes do get hammered with pressure. Uh-oh. He's climbing on stuff. It's got to be good. Colonel Rev, the new Boogermans are $12 a pop. I will stick to just using the Shannon Denson prototype lures. It's basically the same thing.
So when I said watch time, it made me think of something I wanted to show you.
Uh-oh. Bring out the juice. Hanger says, do you guys ever go through all that tackle? I try not to, but I have.
I didn't grab the right box.
I'm not paying $12 for a buzzbait unless it's like JDM.
All right. I forgot I put them in this lure lock box. Not that I'm a big lure locks guy, but I thought for my special baits that don't need to be banging around, that this is actually a good application for a lure lock. I've got. This is kind of rare.
Uh-oh.
By itself, right?
Yeah.
The
WEC
2, I think. But you see what that says?
Kevin Short autograph.
Kevin Short autograph. So I won this. There was a fantasy fishing league that came up where you paid like $5, $10, $20. I forgot. They lasted about half a season, and he was linked up with them back when he did Peeper's Baits, and he had some prizes. So I won this in a fantasy fishing.
That's a freaking score.
Yeah, and I have another one that wasn't signed, but I like the color of this one. I don't know what this color is called. Maybe dolphin, I think, or something.
That is a bluegill.
I'm not sure.
Bull brim. That's bull brim, I believe.
Amazing, sexy looking color on that E1.
It's a $100 bill right there. I hate to tell you.
So the reason I said that is the only time I ever threw this was when I was fishing Bassmaster Nationals on the Ouachita River. I thought, because it brought me back to when Kevin won on Wheeler, I think it was, right? Or when he was fishing up that flooded arm of cypress trees on Wheeler in that Bassmaster Elite that he won. So it made me want to throw this around the cypress trees. It didn't quite get it done, but.
Bait Junior back in the house.
I got a couple rare baits. I got a handful of method cranks.
Do they run straight?
I don't know. I was going to test them soon.
That's the thing about the method crank.
I was going to put them on eBay if they don't run right.
Yeah, if it runs straight, they're amazing. If not, well, I was going to say, I see you got the lure lock. See my boy Darian talking about. So here's the deal. Do you like the box?
The box itself seems really strong. I just bought them this fall. Omnia had a deal on them, so I bought some at 50% off. So the box itself feels really strong, structural. The latches feel good. I'm not sold on the need for the sticky stuff. I thought for my balsa baits and my rare baits, it would be good for them not to be slamming into each other. So I thought for certain baits I would do it, but for day in and day out stuff, like most of my stuff, I mean, I'm just going to jam them in there.
Yeah, dude. So that's how I feel about it. I put together this topwater box the other night. I mean, look at this.
My DT box is just jam full of DT.
And I'm going to be honest with you, like my lipless and my flat sides and even my cranks, I'm jammed full of baits in these things. I don't feel I can do that with the lure lock. Now, for what you're doing, yes, like I would love to get something like that for my high-end bosses and stuff. I don't want slamming around, but I'll be honest with you, the clear coats on baits are so good right now. Unless you got that old stuff that chips, like the old Cordels were bad, and some of the older Strike Kings and stuff like that, they would chip really bad. You can shake your baits around, and other than getting just a little bit of hook rash, it ain't no big deal. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if you're fishing with the bait and it's getting chewed up, it's losing paint, it's working. Who cares if the baits you got in your box are sliding around? Those fish are still gonna bite it. But I like the concept. Dude, like you said, I'm a bait whore, and when I get my lipless box, dude, I got to cram it full. I just don't want to put 20 in there. I want to put, 100 of them in there.
That's right. I can't figure out. I was hoping to find one of my game-worn DT6s in here. Maybe I lost one of my, to me, in the tournament, I'm reaching for the one that's chewed on. You know what I mean? I don't want the fresh, shiny one. I want the one that's got all the teeth marks in it, the one that's been, that's the one I'm reaching for in a tournament. In practice, I'll throw the shiny ones. In the tournament, I want the one that's got teeth marks all over it.
Mm-hmm. Because it gets bit.
I got a bunch of these old things laying around.
The most overrated bait ever. Now, I say that to people like me who just can't catch them on it. There's a time and place that wiggle wart is nasty. I will admit that. Someone says, what was your 100% pure juice for you guys in 2019? I didn't fish that much last year, but dude, I smashed them on a Scottsboro swim bait. That was kind of my juice bait. And a Quake 70.
For me, I would say my fish, we talked about earlier, those Bass Tech tungsten jigs that I showed earlier. And then the thing when it was tough, the thing that got me through a couple of my big tournaments and almost won the state tournament is a Max Scent General.
So that's my favorite. It's the closest thing to Cinco out there. I like the 6-inch clout. It's got a different action than Cinco. It's an amazing bait, but that General is nasty. That's a really good stick worm.
Yeah, I'm starting to believe that Max Scent actually is legit. Like the fish, they eat it. That scent is legit. They eat it.
Yeah.
John Cox is not full of shit. I think he actually catches most fish on it.
John Cox is a hell of a fisherman. So my buddy Brent Anderson's been fishing with John. What do you want to show off, Brooks? Brooks really wants to show you guys this scum frog. Show him the scum frog. Is that your favorite? You like that one? The green? No, now he's got swamp. He bugs me every night. We doing a bait show, Dad? We doing a bait show?
That's awesome.
He's learning about the frogs.
Oh, that blue one. That's juice right there.
That is juice. That means it's good.
Is it retirement plan with bass fishing? Yes. The who dies with the most baits wins. That's how you retire from fishing.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm going to be ahead on that game somehow. Of course, he gets them all, so he's got to figure out what he's going to do with all of it. Dude, we've gone over so many great topics tonight. Someone says favorite bait for heavy summer milfoil. Do you like to flip a jig in that milfoil, Rich? Are you a Seth fighter?
A little bit jig, but I find myself going to more of a creature bait, like a 3/4 ounce tungsten weight, and then a D-bomb, a sweet beaver, a spicy beaver. Those are the kind of things that I throw more often, especially in the heavy grass. I am working on a new grass jig with Bass Tech. So maybe I'll be doing that more this year. But at this point, I really like flipping a Texas rig.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. I got to get him in bed.
It's been awesome.
And I'm probably going to get on the Xbox and just chill, make my thumbnail. But Rich, how can guys find you if they want to get on your Instagram or YouTube? Is it just at HellaBass and YouTube HellaBass?
Just at HellaBass. Yeah, you can search HellaBass on YouTube, Instagram. Yeah, hit me up. Check out the channel. I do a lot of stuff, and I know when I'm doing my best to explain on how I'm catching these fish in my videos to try to teach people, because I guess kind of in my videos I'm here to help you catch more bass and suck less.
Yeah, that's pretty much me.
Here's the thing, honestly, we all suck pretty bad at fishing. You know, if you think about how many casts we spend
Yeah.
not catching fish, if you can get a tip or make a bait change or something just small that even increases your percent. I mean, we probably catch fish on maybe 1% of our casts if we're really good. If you can get that to 1.5% and 2%, that could be a complete game changer for you as far as how many fish you catch in a year. So it's all about sucking less and just incrementally getting better about that fishing.
Absolutely, man. I got to ask you, how did you come up with the name HellaBass? Is that what I think? Is that a South Park reference?
No, it's not. It's like, I mean, back in the day, like hella was like a slang for like a ton, super awesome, right? And so I just like, I think back, I don't know, like an AOL or Yahoo handle, I like merged the two together, and then it kind of just became a thing, you know, like a lifestyle, like custom visors. Like
I like the custom visor video. Bud, my hair's gone away, so I will burn the back of my head on a visor. I used to love rocking the visor, by the way.
It's the only way I can survive with this quarantine flow I got going on. I need a haircut.
We had to cut Bait Junior's hair. What have you got? You got gel in your hair, or did you go take a bath? I used to do the skeet reese, man. I'd slick it back, spike it up a little bit in the front, and get it on the side. That was, yeah, man. I was going out with the ladies after the tournament meeting, stuff like that. But
thanks, Tom.
Yeah, but anyways, Rich, I thoroughly enjoyed our discussion tonight. You're welcome back anytime. I enjoy following you.
Won't be the last time. Maybe you'll come on mine, I'll come on yours, and we'll do this more often.
Absolutely, man. So, guys, thanks again for joining the stream. Be sure to one more day on the Instagram giveaway. And if you purchase anything off 6 cents, use my code Baitman. Send me a screenshot of that receipt, and I'll put you in the drawing. We got a few entries already. And go follow Rich's stuff, man. Baitman Jr., tell him good night.
Good night.
All right. Thanks so much, Rich. I'm going to end the stream now.